we do talk a lot about helping families and perhaps reaching out to people who would never get the help. Let's just face it, in this industry, our industry is the way that it's focused, it's stacked against the average person. No one from Wall Street, no one from, banks, people in our industry, in the traditional models of doing this, are just not going to talk to people who are middle class even, okay? Middle class people are getting left behind. Definitely working class, lower middle income families are just, it's survival mode there. But it's really just a top 1% and fighting for a very smaller and smaller pie every day in the financial industry. So we recognize, and that's our cause, right? That's our mission, stamping out financial illiteracy. That's what juices me up and gets me fired up. That's the difference that I personally feel that I can make, and why I'm here is one of the main reasons. But also, let's face it, none of us are, we don't all work for the Red Cross either, right? This is not just only out of philanthropy that we're doing this. We also want to be able to provide for our families. We want to help our clients become wealthy, and plant those seeds. And if it's the next generation that really runs with it, then that's what it is. And that's what I look at this page. The reason I'm starting off with our website here is, and this is our site, Evolve Financial Partners, right? So we know that, and some of you may be newer on the call here, that we're linked with WealthWave as our marketing platform. Everything you do and see, we just leverage a platform that's already been built for us, they've invested millions and millions of dollars to make it perfect so that we can go ahead and just use what they've got instead of reinventing the wheel. It's brilliant, right? And great partnership that we have with WealthWave. Obviously, Transamerica Financial Advisors is, by the way, the #1 broker dealer for producing female reps in the country, and it's not even close. It's been 8 years running. So one of the most diverse in terms of ethnically diverse companies you'll find out there by a landslide. I think more than 50% of the people in the highest producers in our company are minorities. So I just wanted to throw that out there because, a lot of companies talk a big game in this area. We are the big game in this area, and it's not even close. 38% is the producing females that we have in this company. The industry average is 17%. 17%. So we're beating it by 20%. I know Shantae's ready to say something exciting about that because I know she's all about that, right? So I think it's just something to be proud of. And we're partnered with that. World Financial Group, bar none, the best back office support that's out there in the industry that's able to handle all the stuff that we could throw at them and really handle the growth that is unprecedented. We have not slowed down as a company. This has been a blip on the radar in the last few months. Our growth, we are year over year still growing as a company. How many organizations can say that? So this is like our partners that we have. Who we are through that is Evolve Financial Partners. And this is something that we didn't just, oh, that sounds good, let's put that name together. No, our executive council, our executive team came up with this name collectively because we feel that this represents who we are, who we want to represent to the world, right? But the tagline I look, and this is what I want to talk a little bit about tonight, is advocates for your legacy. So what does that mean, right? Well, everything, if you think about it, everything that we do, every interaction we have, whether it's with a client, whether it's with a business partner, or whether it's with a generation of families that we work with, we are advocates for your legacy. What are you leaving behind? So that to me is an exciting thing to be able to say because it really represents the entrepreneurial side of our business as well as the client side. So I look at it, there's three main ways that, you could divide it into clients and the business, the entrepreneurial side. I'll even divide it even further. I'm going to say there's two prongs to the business where we can build legacies for ourselves, right? And then there's also there's the client side. So there's really three ways that we can help provide legacies for people. One is helping our clients. The second is through our business is assets under management. And the third and most powerful, I believe, is people under leadership. Okay. So I'm just going to cover some of this with you. Let me share my screen here. So I'm not going to do a whole financial training tonight, but I just, just to not step over what we do for families, because we always want to take a little time to share this. And how is it building a legacy? Well, the number one thing that you see, the number one cause that we have, it's financial education. We want to teach more people how money works. That's why we've got this book. That's why we got the websites. That's why millions and millions of dollars have been poured into this, because financial education is where it all starts. We have to start everyone off that way. Now, if someone had never received an education on this, it doesn't matter what age they are. It's never too late to start. We hope that they're 1, 2, 3, 4 years old when they start to get some of these concepts. Certainly by the time they're 12, they can read the book themselves. That's how simple the book is. Okay. But if that is a legacy in and of itself, my kids have a legacy because someone talked to me. I was on someone's top 25 list 22 years ago. And because I was on someone's top 25 list, it sealed my fate that I'm going to be able to teach my kids the right way to do this, and therefore leave a legacy to them. So every single person we touch is a ripple effect on just the education alone. Now, beyond education, we know that the products and services, everything we do. Well, if something happens to me right now, I'd love to say my business would be enough to take care of my family for the rest of their lives. And it certainly helps. Okay. It certainly helps. But life insurance is really, at this point, since I'm still right in the vulnerable growing my wealth stage, and that's why I have a lot of life insurance. So if something happened to me, my family's left with that legacy. Hopefully we're all practicing what we preach, and we're sharing what we own ourselves, right? Join, own, share. So we all want to make sure we're protected ourselves and have emergency fund to what? Well, if I come across hard times or a family out there and I can't afford my premium for my life insurance because I don't have an emergency fund set up, well, that would have caused my possibly a lapse in my legacy planning again, right? Going right along, debt management, how much that cripples so many Americans out there is their debt. Then, of course, increasing cash flow, which is our business. And then one day you have enough wealth that you could live a want-to life, not a have-to life. You could live a work-optional lifestyle. So, having a work-optional lifestyle, some people call that retirement. I just call it having choices. I don't ever plan to retire. I hope not. I want to continue to be relevant in people's lives personally. That's just me, okay? But I want to have the option. I don't want to have finances dictating to me whether I have to work or not. And that's a want-to life, not a have-to life. We give that. That's a legacy. Again, that's a mindset that can be passed down from generation to generation. And then, of course, once you build the wealth for a client, they can pass it to their family and not their least favorite uncle, Uncle Sam, because of all the things we've done. So again, that to me is the strongest foundation. If we could start there, right? As a team, as an organization, we start there with our strong client relationships first. Everything else comes after that, in my opinion. Because if I'm serving the community, the good news is going to get spread around, and you're going to get those referrals. And then, you know what, when you do say something like, I know you're happy, John, what you're doing for your career. Right now, we're in expansion mode. I've been doing this for X amount of time. I've got great mentors. Whatever you got to say, right? And we're actually expanding and looking for sharp people who could be coachable, credible, people who want to help others. If you know anybody, do you know anyone like that that you might want to refer to us? Because we're interviewing right now. You could say that with a lot more confidence if you've first taken care of that client and you've been there for them. And that's why I believe that's building it from the ground up. Okay. So that's the part about the client. And that's what we're going to share on that piece tonight. The rest we're going to devote to how we make money in this business. Okay. So for the next person I'm going to have come up here, Patrick is going to talk a little bit about AUM. He's probably the most qualified, definitely in this team, person to talk about assets under management. And really, how does that provide a legacy and a degree of financial stability and freedom as you build that asset? So, Patrick, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing so that you could share.
You gotta let me share.
I had to let you share. I have that same slide if you want me to put it up for you.
No, I'm gonna use a different one.
Oh, okay, all right.
But you disabled attendee screen sharing here.
I did. Oh boy. Now here I'm gonna have to do something here. I'm gonna make you the host. There you go.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Todd.
Yep.
All right, good evening, everyone. So happy post 4th of July. Hopefully all of you had a safe one. I love 4th of July, but at the same time, it's depressing to me because I always feel like summer is almost over. It's just like halfway mark. It's like, we got 2 months and then the kids are back in school if you got kids. So, but I also love the fall and I love working the business in the fall. Anyway, besides the point, I want to talk to you a little bit about some different ways, a different way to make residual income in the business and talking a little bit about securities license. And I think it's important to, if you're newer in the business or at this point you carry a life and health license and not yet a securities license, I think you just have to ask yourself, and there's nothing wrong with just having a life and health license. And I hate saying that just having a life and health license, but there's nothing wrong with it because it all depends on what your objective is with the business. If it's something where you don't want to entertain the security side because of what's involved with it, and it may take up too much of your time because you're focused on you have other focuses outside of the business that just take up too much time and you don't want to take on that responsibility, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And no one should tell you any different. And you can make great income with the life and health license only. But I feel that if you want to take the business to another level, and I think there's some static. Is that me, Todd?
No, I'm trying to, but I can't since I'm not a host anymore. I can't mute. It's Odie. Odie, you just mute yourself. *6 if you're on the phone. Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Totally forgot what I was talking about. It's the worst. Anyway, so I was saying is that if you want to take the business to the next level and you want to make this something full-time for yourself, I almost feel like you have to get your securities license at some point to make that happen. Just because the need is so broad when you're helping individuals, life insurance and protection and index annuities is just one component of the entire plan. But if you want to help them with saving for retirement when it comes to a Roth, as you heard on the call, a lot of people have been talking about Roth contributions. If you want to help people with 529 plans, if you want to help them with advisory services or variable annuities to generate a guaranteed income stream for life, you're going to have to get the securities license. And I will tell you that your income will go up. Okay. And I'll show you that tonight. But, it requires some dedication. I couldn't think of a better year to focus. If you are going to get it, what a better year to get it than this year, just because a lot of us are still on somewhat of a lockdown at home or working more from home, that maybe this would be the perfect time to entertain it. Okay. I know that it's helped me tremendously, and I love having my securities license. And I was thinking about it today is that, it's not that much work to maintain it. It really isn't. If you follow some of the things we're going to talk about here in just a minute, the fees when it comes to security license is a no-brainer. So as far as getting securities license, I would encourage you, if you have an interest in that, just get together with your trainer, your SMD, so they can go over that with you on what your next steps would be to get that. But we'll talk a little bit about compensation here. And this is a TFA piece, and I'm not going to show this piece the entire time. I'm actually going to show another piece, but I just wanted to show it because Mario sent it to me, and you can get this. If you're interested, just send me a note. I can send it to you, or your SMD will most likely have it because I think he sent it out to everyone. But, as an SMD, that's a level 20 in our firm. That's a 65% contract. I think the average in the industry. I know at Chase, if you work for I shouldn't say that, but the last time I checked, I think it was around 35% is what their contract. But think about it, they get a lot of walk-in business, but they also really don't want to help anybody with less than 50,000. I just helped a client who really just kind of got the cold shoulder when she went into her local Chase branch because she wanted to open an account, a Roth account, and he's like, well, our minimum is 50,000, but I'll help you out with this little mutual fund here, and you just get on your way. And that's how she felt. But that's what their contract is, around 35%. As an SMD, our contract is a 65%. Okay, so just remember that as I go through some of these numbers. This first example here is helping out a family or an individual. The average, I guess, in our firm for a variable annuity or a rollover, and where would that come from? That would come from someone's old 401k. I think Mario mentioned someone's pension that he was helping them with. Well, if they've been saving for 15, 20, 25 years, there's a really good chance they have over $100,000 saved. So when they're about to retire or getting in that retirement red zone and they're looking for a vehicle that will maintain a guaranteed income stream for them on a monthly basis, right, to keep the lights on, coupled with Social Security, they may want to entertain a variable annuity. They may want to stay invested in the market like their 401k, but they may want an income stream like a pension. That's where a VA comes in. So this is an example of 134,000 rolled over into a VA. Well, the commission on that would be $5,300 up front. Now, when you choose payouts for a VA, you have options. You can take a big percentage up front, which means you don't get any sort of trail commission. Like Anthony mentioned in his insurance policy, he got a nice renewal pay there. But in the investment side, you get what is called a trail. And it's a percentage of the amount of money that's in there. You get that on a monthly basis. I just got my trail commission today on a handful of Jackson accounts. And I was like, oh, see, glad I didn't choose option A because I'm still getting paid, right? But I'm servicing the client. So I feel good every time I talk to the client that, hey, I know I'm servicing you, but I'm getting compensated for my service. But there is an option where you can get paid all up front. You can get paid some up front with a little trail, or you can get paid nothing up front and get it all a trail. So I think it depends on where you're at in the business and if you need income up front right now, and maybe you want to take some up front and a little bit of trail, or maybe you say, you know what, I'm in a position where, I'm making enough money out of my insurance business where I don't need to take a trail, or I don't need to take any upfront commissions on my VA business. I can take all trails. And eventually, right, you'll be getting consistent monthly income off of that. That's a conversation for another time, but I just wanted, and this may all be new to you, but I just want to talk about it so you're aware of it when the time comes that you've heard it before. It's just not something we talk about all the time. The VUL side, this is variable universal life, and as you know, a lot of us do a lot of index universal life simply because of the guarantees that are built in. However, Nationwide does have a VUL where you can put index options in it. So if you're dealing with a younger client or someone that is more market savvy, and they want some variable exposure with mutual funds, you can open a VUL for them. All right. And you also get a trail commission on all those assets that are placed in that through the mutual funds. So this is, excuse me, this is an example of a target premium of $3,261. And an SMD contract that would be $2,065. So between the two of those, that's a $7,369 of a monthly commission before tax. So not a bad income for two transactions made on the variable side. Now, getting into advisory, talking about Trans 1, this is assets under management. Sometimes we run into folks, or I shouldn't say sometimes, many times we run into folks where they may be in their 30s or they may be in their 40s and they love their 401k and they want to be exposed to the market. They're not looking for any guarantees at this moment. They're just looking to grow that asset for as much as they can. Maybe in their 50s, you look back or you look at it and say, okay, maybe now it's time to convert some of that AUM business into VAs, right, to generate an income stream for them. Who knows? But I'm just saying is that not everybody wants to lock it up in an index annuity, and maybe they don't want to. Maybe, you know, the guarantee sounds good, but the upside potential on it is not strong enough for them because they got 20 years to go. So they want to look at something where it's invested in the market. They can get out of it at any time if they so choose. But it's got, you know, some good potential for return. So this is an example on our Trans 1 side. An investment advisor rep added 2 average size Trans 1 client sales of $103,000 per month. So what is that? That's $206,000, okay, for the first 10 years, which earned an 8% average return. They would earn the following advisory fees in year 2, 5, and 10. So this is fun to look at, and this is exciting to play with your calculator with this stuff. But this is the new money coming in over the 2-year period with an 8% growth. You're looking at $5.3 million. And in an SMD contract, that would be about $34,000 a year, which equates to about, you know, $2,800, $2,900 a month before tax. So you think about that. You put in the time, and over a 2-year period, you follow this recipe. You know, that could pay your mortgage every month plus some. And that's not a bad deal if your recurring income covers one of your biggest bills every month. At a 5-year period, right, same work, but that grows to $15 million. That's just under $100,000 a year in residual income. And that comes out to about $8,100 a month. Now you're looking at something that would cover your biggest bill every month, which is either your rent or your mortgage, and probably pay all your bills. So that'd be pretty good. And you could save all your life insurance commissions. You look at a 10-year period, that could grow to $38 million. That's almost $250,000 income at $20,000 a month. What could you do with, what would it be nice if you woke up January 1st every year and you knew no matter what, now assuming market maintains itself, right? Now you're going to be adding some, you may be losing some, but if you can average that, that's a $20,000 a month recurring income. How many people you know have a $20,000 a month recurring income? That's pretty cool.
Let's go down, Batman.
All right, so I want to jump over to this real quick.
Batman.
Now, this came from Rich Cunningham's presentation. Rich Cunningham is one of the biggest producers in the company when it comes to AUM. And I like this sheet because I think this makes a lot of sense. And this talks about the importance of investment advisory services and why you would want to get a Series 65 and, of course, a Series 6 and 63. Well, retention of clients and assets, the value of a client. When you are talking to them on a quarterly basis, you're going to retain those clients. Most clients stick with you because you talk to them. I've met people and their products they were in weren't great, but they wouldn't switch because they had such a good relationship with their advisor because they talked to him all the time. You look at retention of matured associates. I know if I have a teammate making $500 to $1,000 a month recurring income, there's a good chance they're not going to leave. They're not going to quit the business. If it's solely commission business where you get paid one time, well, you go 3-4 months without any activity, the business looks real stale, right? But if you're making something on a monthly basis, you're not going anywhere. You're only going to probably do more. Ever increasing monthly cash flow. Okay. And what I love about the AUM side is that I earn my income every month. At any moment's notice, that client can move those assets to someplace else. But I know if I'm consistently talking to them and reviewing their stuff with them, I'm earning that 1% fee. Okay. Plus, it helps with compliance. If you're constantly talking to them, you're constantly finding out about their goals and objectives and adjusting, right? Well, compliance likes that. It keeps you out of trouble, okay? Because the annual reviews are required. And I love doing those reviews. And the reason why is because I always find more stuff to give me, all right? Or maybe they left a previous employer. I remember when I was just doing insurance business, I knew they had a 401k, but I wasn't talking to them about it all the time because I didn't have I didn't have the license to assist them with any of that sort of stuff. So I can't tell you how many times I go back and do a review and they're like, yeah, I left my job. I'm like, what'd you do with the 401k? Oh, I rolled it to my new job. Well, nowadays that doesn't happen because I got my finger on the pulse all the time. But in the past, I'd always let that stuff slip through the cracks. And those of you who have a life license, you know what I'm talking about. Incentive to solve orphan account dilemmas, right? These are people that have just, advisors have left and, their accounts are sitting stagnant. Well, home office has called me several times. They asked me to take over a few accounts here and there for old advisors that have left the company and they have no one to take care of it. I don't want to spend much time in this. Solves most current mutual fund, variable annuity switching and suitability changes. If you're moving from mutual fund to mutual fund or VA to VA, there's a lot of documentation in that, and you have to make sure that you're doing the right thing there for the client. Okay, helps the reputation of the company because of the constant communication, right? Even in sideways and down market times. I've talked to my clients several times. Same client multiple times over the last 6 months, just because of what's been going on. And I just want to make sure that, I'm in constant communication with them to help them weather this storm. Okay. Allows the recruitment of mature financial professionals and their millions of current assets. Okay. Well, if that's something you specialize in, it's easier to have those conversations with those other advisors that may be with another firm that may want to get into the building side. Or maybe they're at a bank and they're just sick of, being under the scrutiny of corporate, something like that. Okay. So it opens those conversations. I'll tell you what, it increases the front end revenue and new sales of existing products and services due to client contact and confidence. I can't tell you how much easier it is to market insurance when I lead with advisory business. Because everyone's very familiar with, hey, I know I need to get a Roth set up, or I need to make sure that my 401k is allocated appropriately. And I'm talking about the PCRA and self-directed brokerage accounts. That's where we can help people with their existing 401k without rolling it over. But I can't tell you how many times I've just led with that stuff. And it's like, oh, hey, by the way, what have you done? Let's go back to our 7 steps. What have you done for your protection? Oh, Pat, I haven't done much with that. Well, let's do a dime. Let's see where you're at, and let's see what's most suitable for you, and see where the gaps are. But that's kind of like a side dish now. But it's so easy, rather than leading with it. Because sometimes when I've led with insurance in the past, it wasn't as attractive. It was like, a bill, right? They just don't look at it as something valuable. So that's made that business so much easier. And then, of course, referral business. And when you're in constant communication, you're going to get more referral business. Okay. And then also when they pass away, if you got that relationship, if it's much stronger, it's going to help you build those relationships with the beneficiaries, which are the kids in most circumstances, right? Here's some of the company numbers. When you have a securities license, obviously you have access to more products. Support enhances your career and re-energizes your business and your team. Opportunity to increase your income, both life and security business. But here's an SMD, average earnings with a life license only. Well, it's about $35,000 a year. Okay. When you add securities to it, a Series 6 and 63, that bumps up to just under $60K. And then if you add advisory to it, that bumps up to $84,000 a year. Okay. So that's pretty good just by getting the licenses. Now, here's some examples of assets under management, and I'll pass it back over to you, Todd. But, this is something that I think about all the time is that, what do I got to do to get this number up? And I remember when I first got my license, I just said, I'm just going to focus on $1 million. Just going to focus on $1 million. I didn't focus on 15 or 20 million. In the beginning, I just said, how do I get my next million? And then once I got that first million, I said, what do I got to get to 2 million, right? But look at 1 million of AUM with assuming a 1% commission, because that's generally what Trans 1 pays, PCRA business, UITs, etc. But that would equate to 825 points to the field monthly. So at an SMD, that would be $535 a month. As an MD, that'd be $412 a month. Okay. You get to 5 million of AUM, that equates to $41.25 a month in points. And if you're not quite an MD yet, you just take those points and multiply it by your contract, and that's what you would get compensated on that. As an SMD, you would make $2,600 a month on that. MD, just over $2,000. You look at 10 million, that's 8,200 points, 8,250 to be exact, to the field on a monthly basis. So as an SMD, that would pay you just under $5,400 a month. And as an MD, just around $4,100 a month. 15 million as an SMD would be 8,000 a month with about 12,000 points. So you think about this, you couple these points that are recurring no matter what. So there may be a month where you just insurance sales are just not happening, or maybe it just didn't happen. People weren't getting back to you. Well, no matter what, you're making at least $8,000 that month. But think about the contest. Think about Hawaii. Think about how much easier it is to hit some of those contests when you got recurring business paying you on a monthly basis. Now this next page, let me just switch this. This is what happens when you build a team. And this is 10 SMDs in your team with 15 million each. And in our industry, 15 million under management is like, nothing. It's like you're just getting started. Okay. So 15 million is very common in our industry. So if you got 10 SMDs, your first generation override is 10%, right? Well, that's pretty good. Take a look at that. That's 12.3 monthly just in overrides there. Down to three generations, right? You add all those up, that's about 22,000 a month, plus your personal. That's about 30K a month in residual income. No matter what, that doesn't count your insurance business, doesn't count your VA or index annuity business, any of that. So, you go to the conventions and you see an Eric Jensen up on stage, and the reason why he's always smiling is because he's making about 3 times this per month on residual income, right, in his team. So pretty healthy stuff. So, this is a great thing to dream about and to work on and imagine, if you hit this number, this is what your income's going to be no matter what. And it's very predictable. So I think, to end with, you just got to ask yourself, what do you want your business to look like? Do you want to be a full-fledged agent with all your licenses? In the beginning, you still have to piggyback maybe on another agent or SMD to help you. But who cares? Like, let's say it takes you 5 years to do that, or 10 years. Is it worth it? You think about it, you work 30 years, and what does Social Security pay you, right? In just a few years, you can get what Social Security pays you on a monthly basis. And just think 20 years from now with that compounded interest, what that's going to look like. Man, retirement's going to be quite pretty. So anyway, with that being said, Todd, I'm going to pass it back over to you. Okay.
Awesome, man. Well, you just sold me the dream, Patrick. I love it. So that's leverage, everybody. To me, that's how you can build, something that is generational. I think about the AUM business that I'm building, and certainly something that can be taken over by my children one day. All right. And I love it when my 6-year-old comes up to me and says, Daddy, I want to help clients like you. I want to be, helping people with their money like you do, and it just makes me feel so good. And after that, she could say she wants to be a ballerina and an actress and everything else. And that's great too. But just, I think that I like the feeling that she'll probably come in business with me at some point, which is every parent's dream. Right. Of course, I want her to do whatever she wants. Right. But, that's part of the legacy. Right. Now, when you think about and consider what makes this happen, what allows for this to take place and the AUM. And, one thing that Patrick had mentioned is that it's like clockwork. Right.